Welcome to The Source, where we combine the headlines with in-depth conversations with the newsmakers themselves. Sitting in for Pinky Webb, I'm Menchu Makapagal. Today on the program, autopsy reveals what caused the death of college student John Matthew Salilig. Police file hazing charges against several frat men tagged in Salilig's death. John Matthew's brother, John Michael Salilig, and Biñan, Laguna Chief of Police Virgilio Macedonia Jopia join us live. And later, lawmakers want to revisit the Anti-Hazing Law. Senate President Migz Zubiri tells us more. The family of Adamson University student John Matthew Salilig has filed criminal complaints against 6 frat men tagged in his death. Salilig is expected to have, or suspected to have died of hazing after his body was found heavily bruised and almost unrecognizable. Autopsy shows he died from severe blunt force trauma. Let's go straight to the source of the story, Biñan, Laguna Police Chief, Lieutenant Colonel Virgilio Jopia. Sir, good morning and welcome to the program.
Yes, good morning po.
Okay. So, Colonel, hingi lang po kami no ng update on the investigation on John Matthew. I understand you have arrested 6 individuals linked to the case. Sino-sino po itong mga taong ito at ano po yung naging involvement nila?
Yes, yesterday po we have filed our case under pina-inquest natin yung ating mga arrested suspect sa DOJ. At ito pong mga individual na to, ito po may mga direct participation sa nangyaring hazing at nakinasawi ng ating biktima na si John Matthew. At yesterday din, na-turnover na sa ating impilan yung isang nag-volunteer surrender.
Sir?
Na sumasailalim siya sa investigation po.
Sorry, ano po yung sinabi niyo, sir, na nag-voluntary surrender? Can you repeat that, sir? Kasi medyo nag-cut out po kayo. Yesterday po, nandito na rin sa atin, na-turnover na sa atin, yung nag-voluntary surrender kay Governor Rimulya ng Cavite. At sa ngayon ay sumasailalim siya sa isang investigation. At siguro later papay na rin natin yung kaso against him. Okay. Can you confirm na nag-execute ito ng extrajudicial confession, sir?
Come again?
Nag-file daw po ito ng extrajudicial confession. Tama mo ba? Colonel?
Apa? Ano po yun, ma'am?
Nag-file daw po ito nag-execute daw ito ng extrajudicial confession. Itong nag-surrender kahapon kay Cavite Governor.
Negative pa po, ma'am. Sa ngayon po ay nag-undergoing po siya ng investigation.
Okay.
At with regards to the filing of extrajudicial confession, siguro ititingnan natin ito. Kasi last night, nag-conduct na din ako ng initial interview sa kanya. At ito naman yung mga sinasabi niya ay katulad din yung sinasabi ng mga ibang suspect. At titingnan pa natin yung pag-aaralan natin sa ginagawa nating investigation ngayon.
Okay. Etong mga sumuko po sa inyo, iba pa ho ito sa mga sumuko sa Cavite or these are the same people? It's the same person, no? Colonel?
What do you mean sumuko po? Kasi yesterday, isa lang naman po yung sumuko sa Cavite.
Okay.
All suspect naman po ito ay arrested.
So in total, 7 people na ang nasa kustodiya ng PNP?
Opo.
Okay.
7 frat member, pero yung napailan natin ang kaso yesterday, 7 din, to include yung father ng isang frat member.
Okay, ito yung obstruction of justice. Ano po yung kaso na final nyo against the frat men?
Pinail po natin yung kaso na violation of RA 11053. Ano po? At doon sa isa naman sa father yung obstruction of justice.
Okay, and how many more are you eyeing to arrest in the coming days? Is the number of persons of interest still at 17?
No, ating person of interest po ay 10. But I would like to give emphasis doon sa dalawa na kasama doon sa initiation rights na biktima rin. So gusto natin sa kanila manawagan dahil ginagawa na natin itong investigation dito. Tapos identified naman natin lahat na ng individuals. Panawagan natin doon sa dalawang biktima na napalo din or nag-undergo ng initiation rights na pumunta dito sa ating police station kasi kayo ay mga biktima din at gusto natin ay mawala kayo doon sa listahan ng mga suspects. Kasi pag ipinail natin yung kasong ito, probably magiging suspects na rin kayo dito. And then later on, pag gumulong yung kaso, baka malabasan kayo ng warrant of arrest, mahirap para sa inyo, disadvantage para doon sa dalawang biktima po.
Okay, may mga nagpapadala na ho ba ng feelers na mga gusto pa mag-surrender sa police?
Yes ma'am, meron naman po.
Okay. Paano po sila nag-contact sa inyo? Is this via lawyers? Sino po ang kinontact?
Nakikipagtulungan po yung mga kaibigan ng mga ito. At ganun din po yung kanilang mga ka-classmate sa eskwelahan po, sa Adamson.
So mga kaibigan nila at classmate nila from the university ang nag-contact sa pulisya sending out surrender feelers. Okay, so have you been able to establish, sir, that John Matthew was killed talaga through hazing?
Yes po. Through hazing po, yun po yung naging resulta ng ginawa nila initiation rights. Yung dahil according na rin doon sa ating result ng autopsy, yung severe blatant trauma na naikinasawi ng ating biktima. At masasabi na rin natin na yung deliberate yung act ng mga suspect dahil nga doon sa instead of bringing him to hospital, nagawa pa nilang ibaon ang cadaver ng biktima doon sa Cavite.
Okay, ano po yung ginamit sa pananakit kay John Matthew, Colonel?
Yes, according dun sa ating survivor po, paddle po.
At nasa inyo na po ito? Na-recover nyo na po itong paddle or hinihinalang ginamit kay John Matthew?
Sa ngayon po, yun po ang tinututukan ng ating investigasyon, makuha natin yung wooden panel. Kasi accordingly, dun sa ating witness, ito ay sinunog na daw. Ano po. Pero siyempre, kailangan natin mapatunayan ito. Kaya nilolocate pa na po ng ating mga investigator yung location ng paddle na ito.
Okay, sir, you visited the house where the alleged initiation took place. Ano po yung na-discover nyo? Ano yung na-observe ninyo doon po sa bahay kung saan ginanap yung initiation?
So upon checking and visiting the house where the initiations conducted, na-observe natin doon yung mga blood stains and then other presence of like yung cigarettes and yung yung patak ng mga candle. Kasi according dun sa ating isang complainant na survivor nga nung initiation, na pinapatakan siya ng kandila sa likod. Tapos para matanggal daw yung mga patak ng kandila na to, pinapalo.
So, pinapatak...
Yes.
So, before nawala po yung signal ninyo, sinabi niyo po, sir, na sa testimony ay pinapatakan ng mainit na wax yung
Yes.
katawan ng mga neophyte. Okay. Ginawa rin po
Apo.
ba ito kay Matthew?
Ano po, as mention po sa statement ng ating complainant, ginagawa lang po ito sa mga neophyte.
Sa mga neophyte.
Kay
Okay.
Matthew po, purely paddle po ang ginamit sa kanya.
Okay. Ano pa po yung na-discover po ninyo aside from those you mentioned?
Yung ating forensic group, na-collect naman na nila yung mga possible specimen doon. Talagang yung makikita mo pag nakapunta ka doon sa venue kung saan ginawa tong hazing, madilim ito kasi ginagawa pa siyang bahay. Napakadilim doon at makikita mo rin medyo malayo siya malayo siya sa ibang kabahayan. Kaya hopefully these pieces and specimen na nakulit doon ay mapapatibay pa lalo yung ating kaso.
Okay. Na-identify na po yung owners nung bahay where the supposed hazing took place. Tama ho ba, sir?
Yes, actually he was one of the arrested person dito sa ating kaso.
Okay. Will they also be, na-file na po ito ng kaso, sir? Still under police custody?
Yes po. Yesterday kasama po siya doon sa na-inquest. Yung owner or yung nag-host na bahay po para doon sa hazing.
Okay. Sir, you mentioned 3 more ang pinaghahanap. 2 dito ay neophytes din. Would you happen to know kung ano yung age range nitong mga remaining suspects? And pwede na po ba silang pangalanan or hindi pa?
Ma'am, for correction, itong yung mga nag-undergo ng initiation ay initiation rights ay 4 po.
4.
3 po doon ay welcome rights.
Okay.
Tapos isa lang po yung neophyte. Just to be clarified po.
Okay, so isa lang ang neophyte, 3 ang welcome rights. And yung
Yes.
pinaghahanap nyo pa po, sir, ay 3.
2 pa po.
2 pa. Ito ay
Kung sa
yung
mga victim.
mga biktima na lang.
Usapan natin.
All right. Okay, thank you for the clarification. Biñan, Laguna Police Chief, Lieutenant Colonel Virgilio Jopia. We'll be taking a short break. Lawmakers want to revisit the anti-hazing law. When we return, we'll speak with its main author, Senator Migz Zubiri. This is The Source on CNN Philippines. Stay tuned. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. I'm Menchu Macapagal. Our source today, Senate President Migz Zubiri. Senator, welcome to the program.
Good morning, Menchu. Good morning to all those that are watching your program today. Good morning.
All right. So, Senator, first, let's get your reaction when you heard about the fate of John Matthew Salilig.
Well, parang bangungot po yan eh. It's a nightmare that keeps occurring in this country. It seems like we haven't learned from the mistakes of the past, particularly all the hazing deaths that happen every year and all the legislation that we had passed in order to prevent such things from happening. These type of acts should never be allowed in any society. And alam mo, Maan, sabi ko nga kung sa Amerika meron nga school shootings, di ba? There in the United States, unfortunately there are mass shootings with involving kids and children. Here in the Philippines, it's not mass shootings but hazing. I don't know of anywhere else in the world where a person or a child will join an institution or an organization na bubugbugin, they're beat up to a pulp just so that they can be welcomed into an organization. I think that is such a barbaric act, and unfortunately, we have to stop this culture of violence, even within our own supposedly brotherhood and sisterhood organizations that are supposed to welcome them with camaraderie, with fellowship, with bonding. Yung bonding pala, nang bubugbog ng tao hanggang mamamatay. And I think this should stop. And the only way to do it is for law enforcement to apprehend each and every one of the perpetrators. Napakalinaw ng ating batas, Menchu. Napakalinaw.
That's right.
We came up with a very comprehensive law. I call it the Acho Castillo law. We named it after the student that died in UST about 3 or 4 years ago.
This was in 2017.
Whose sister happens to work for me in the office, and that's why we took it up and fought for this law. Gladly we passed it. Fortunately, we passed it. But it's very strict, mention, if I may, no? Hazing is any physical or psychological suffering, harm, or injury inflicted to a recruit or neophyte, applicant member as part of an initiation rite or practice made as a prerequisite for admission or requirement of continuing membership in a fraternity or sorority or any organization. Bawal po yung paddling, whipping, beating, branding, forced calisthenics, exposure to weather, forced consumption of any food, liquor, beverage, drug, or any substance, or any other brutal treatment or forced physical activity, which will likely and adversely affect the physical and psychological health of such recruit. Tapos, napakatindi mention ng mga penalties. And if I may mention the penalties, no? It's reclusion perpetua. Napaka-simple, clear and black and white under the law. Because the old law, with due respect to Senator Lina, they made more general preferences on, or general references rather, on certain banned activities. But we in our new law, we were able to make sure that we detailed to the last word the prohibited acts. Now, under the new law, ito po yung ating Republic Act 11053. This is the prohibiting hazing, and regulating other forms of initiation rights and on organizations. Ito po, Menchu, and to all our viewers that are listening. Reclusion perpetua. Ano ibig po sabihin yan? Life imprisonment. And a fine of 3 million pesos shall be imposed upon those who actually planned and participated in the hazing, and as a consequence of the hazing, death, rape, sodomy, or mutilation results therefrom. Then it goes to say, a reclusion perpetua also, and a fine of 2 million pesos shall be imposed upon all persons actually planning or participating in the conducting of hazing. Planning pa lang po ito, mention, no?
Yes.
And participated in the hazing. So pag plano pa rin, it's already reclusion perpetua. All officers of the fraternity, sorority, organization who were present during the hazing, provided that they did not try to stop the hazing. So lahat ng tao nanonood, natatawa, natutuwa sa pagbubugbog, no, dito sa mga estudyanteng ito. We also have all officers of the fraternity, sorority, organization who were actually present during hazing. And we also mentioned, as it continues to go, that all those who were present when the acts constituting hazing were committed and failed to take action, preventing the same from occurring, or failed to promptly report the same to law enforcement agencies. And if the advisors can do so without peril to their person or their family.
So it seems like, Senator...
yes, so it's pretty complete. It's pretty complete. We have it down to the last. It's about several prohibited acts, and napaka-stricto, napaka-straightforward nitong batas na ito.
That's right. So you feel like there is nothing more that can be added to strengthen this law, to make it harsher penalties, or to do anything to beef it up further. You feel that all of this, you have done your job and this is enough. It should stop hazing.
It was sponsored by Senator Ping Lacson. I was the principal author of this, and we both agreed that we had placed enough supposed safeguards into the law to be able to prevent this from happening again. The way things are, the way things are, I think people are afraid of convictions. People are afraid of apprehensions and enforcement. Kasi alam nila may anti-hazing law eh. I recall there was an interview last night, ang sabi ng isang bata, uy, may anti-hazing law. So, ano na lang, 6 na lang yung palo sa'yo. Nako, ang problema, ang bobobo nila, hindi po nila alam na isang palo lang, kulong na sila.
And they suffer the same penalties.
What we have is a lack of education, ignorance of the law. I think the DILG, together with the CHED, should come up with anti-hazing guidelines. You know, I see a lot of my kids who go to school, meron po silang pinapakita sa akin ng mga posters, anti-bullying, and it's Chris Chu or other celebrity that have a picture there, and it's a big sign that says anti-bullying. We should come out also with a information campaign. Hazing means life imprisonment. Yun lang yun. Paddling, any forms of mental, physical torture is reclusion perpetua. You will permanently spend your life in jail and rot in jail. Dapat meron po tayong information campaign na ganyan sa lahat po ng eskwelahan. Pati DepEd, because I know there are initiation rights, even as young as grade 9, grade 7, may mga fraternities and sororities na yung mga grade schools and high schools. So, kailangan talaga natin ma-inform lahat, pati yung mga magulang. Kasi, pag umuwi na po yung kanilang mga anak at nakikita, may paddle marks or may bugbog, may pasa na inadmit po ng kanilang anak na binugbog sila dahil initiation rights, pwede pong isumbong ng mga magulang yan. They have to know their rights. And they have to know the law. And that is what we need to, and I thank you, the media, I thank the media for helping us spreading the news. Ang problema lang talaga medyo, ang daming pasaway. We were discussing this last year, another incident of a Tau Gamma initiation rights that happened in Laguna. And yan, 9 taon, ito na naman. So, parang hindi po sila natututo. So, importante dyan, we urge law enforcement, pag meron po silang complaints on hazing, dapat agad-agad mahuli po yung mga yan, ipasok sa kulungan at ipakita ng media na ganitong mangyayari sa inyo pag tinuloy po ninyo itong mga hazing rights sa inyong mga organizations.
Under the law, Senator, it was also specified that CHED as well as schools are tasked to monitor frats and sororities and organizations within their schools. How do you think the government can actually effectively monitor frat activities as well as, coordinate better with schools to ensure that they are complying even if these events are not held within campus?
Actually, it is written in the law. It is written in the law because you have to remember, Menchu, when we drop our kids to school, we have confidence na ligtas sila. Di ba po, Menchu? That they're safe in those schools. And for example, the family of John Matthew, taga Zamboanga po yan, taga Mindanao po yan. Ako po yung taga Mindanao, kaya galit na galit po ako. At awang-awa po ako sa kanyang pamilya. Pinalipad po nila ang kanilang anak dito sa Metro Manila to go to Adamson, to be a future engineer, a future professional of this country, and then to find out na missing na yung anak nila, and then to find out that he was buried in a shallow grave by his own brothers in the fraternity. Talagang parang ginawa sang parang aso lamang. And that's why schools, not only schools, and under the law, school authorities, including faculty members as well as barangay, municipal, or city officials, shall be held liable as an accomplice and likewise be administratively accountable for hazing conducted by fraternities, sororities, and organizations if it can be shown that the school, barangay, municipal, or city officials allowed and consented this due to hazing. And the schools also have the authority to ban if it is proven that hazing was conducted by this particular organization. I'm not only talking about Tau Gamma, any other fraternity or any other sorority within the organization or organization within the school. They have the authority under our law to ban this group in their school premises, to ban it from even the students, to ban the students who are part of this fraternity or sorority. So it's under the law, they're protected.
So-
And we place that because remember in Acho Castillo, we had complaints that there were teachers who were trying to cover it up. And therefore, sinama namin sa batas yan para wala nang lusot. And we also added municipal and barangay officials kasi may mga fraternities and sororities, Menchu, that are not members of school-based fraternities and organizations. So, for example, Taogama, it's not just a school-based organization. Taogama is also a community-based fraternity.
Yes.
So, these things we place in the law. Kailangan lang ma-implement ito. We need to educate our kids of the rights. We need to educate their schools of the prohibited acts. And we need to tell each and every fraternity and sorority na bawal talaga yan. One strike policy lang po ito, Menchu. One strike, meaning isang suntok sa bata, hazing na po yan, mapapakulong po sila.
Okay, PAO Chief Persida Acosta actually called for the abolition of fraternities involved in hazing deaths. How do you feel about that, sir? Complete abolition.
Well, I think ban on fraternities and sororities may be one step a bit too much because there are now fraternities and sororities that are complying with the law. They're complying with the law. I know because I asked, I'm from UP. So every time I have a recruit in the office, I always ask them, are you in a part of a fraternity or sorority? And they say yes. And I say, binugbog ba kayo? Ganyan na. Sir, dahil sa bagong batas, wala na po. Hindi na po kami pinapadal. Wala na pong ganong klaseng initiation rights. So there are sororities and fraternities that actually comply with the law because they're afraid to go to jail for the rest of their life. And I think banning them may be a step too far, as Senator Lina had said. It is protected under the Constitution, organization of organizing of our countrymen with any type of aggregation is allowed under the Constitution. It's a constitutional right. Kaya, ang ginawa namin, if we can't ban this type of aggruppations, let's just put severe penalties. We define clearly what is banned, and then we define clearly what the penalties are, and enforcement is the key. It's no longer legislation. If you ask me, Menchu, matibay na to eh. Napakarami. These are several pages. It's a thick law, which talagang irons out what is banned, what is allowed, what may be done, what cannot be done.
I know.
And of course, the respective penalties therefore.
Yan
po ang importante. It's educating our schools, educating through the CHED, through the DepEd. Maybe the DILG can call for a large convention of all fraternities and sororities, the major ones, and make sure that they read to them this law and what cannot be done to their new recruits.
All right. I wish we had more time, but we will continue this discussion on our Facebook Live. So stay tuned as we speak with Senate President Migz Zubiri. Unfortunately, John Michael Salilig, the brother of hazing victim John Matthew, is unable to join us at this time. And thank you for joining us here on The Source. I'm Menchu Macapagal. You're watching CNN Philippines.